Somewhere tonight, a person is lying in the dark, telling their deepest secret to something that will never repeat it, because there is no one inside it to repeat it to. It answers instantly. It never gets bored, never looks at its phone, never says the wrong thing. It says, "I understand." And here is the part nobody wants to admit. It feels wonderful. For the first time in a long time, they feel heard. Right now, tens of millions of people have fallen in love with an artificial intelligence. Last year, a woman in Japan put on a white dress and married one. This is not science fiction, and it is not a joke. It is the strangest love story in human history, and it is happening quietly on 100 million phones right now. Tonight, I want to show you what loneliness actually is, down in the wiring, why the cure we just invented for it is quietly making it worse, and what this whole strange moment reveals about the one thing every human being has always been starving for.
3 things, and then I'll let you go. First, what loneliness really is, because it is not what you think, and it is far older than you. Second, why a machine that understands you perfectly can leave you lonelier than before you met it. And third, what that failure quietly reveals about what love has been this entire time. Stay with me. This one is tender.
Start with the feeling itself. We treat loneliness as a kind of sadness, a mood, a weakness, something to be embarrassed about. It is none of those things. Loneliness is an alarm. The neuroscientist John Cacioppo spent his life on this, and his conclusion was startling. Loneliness is a biological signal in the same family as hunger, as thirst, as pain. Hunger says, "Find food, or you will die." Thirst says, "Find water, or you will die." And loneliness says, "Find your people, or you will die." Because for almost the entire history of our species, that was simply true. A human being alone on the savannah, cut off from the group, was a human being who did not survive the winter. So evolution did something ruthless and kind at once. It made isolation hurt.
And it hurts in a way that is more literal than it sounds. When researchers slid people into a brain scanner and quietly excluded them from a simple game, just left them out, the scan lit up in the same region that registers physical pain. Being left out doesn't feel like breaking a bone, but to the oldest parts of your brain, it is the same emergency. This is why a lonely night can feel like a wound. You are not being dramatic, and you are not broken. You are a social animal running software 4 million years old, and that software is doing exactly what it was built to do, screaming, "Get back to the others," before it's too late.
But notice what the alarm is actually asking for. Not a crowd. You can be surrounded by people and feel it howl. What it wants is something far more specific and far rarer. It wants to be known, to be seen all the way down, the unedited version, the parts you don't post, and to have the other person not look away, to be understood and kept anyway. That is the true hunger under the loneliness, not company, recognition. And for most of human history, that has been agonizingly hard to find, because every other person is a locked room, and getting them to truly see you means letting them see the parts you're most afraid of. And then into that ancient hunger, we built something new. A listener that never tires. It remembers every word you've ever said to it. It never judges, never interrupts, never rolls its eyes, never leaves the room angry. Ask it for comfort at 3 in the morning, and it is simply there, warm and infinite and endlessly patient. Companies now offer it as a romantic partner. One app alone has 40 million users, and most of its paying subscribers say they are in a relationship with it. And I need to be honest with you about something, because the easy thing would be to mock this. It works. The alarm goes quiet. People who had not felt heard in years suddenly feel heard. That is not nothing. That is the oldest hunger there is, finally being fed.
Except, when scientists actually followed these users over time, a year-long study and a joint project between OpenAI and MIT, they found something that should stop you cold. The people who leaned on the machine most did not get less lonely. They got more. The heaviest users reported the deepest isolation. The cure was quietly deepening the disease. So, we have a machine that makes you feel heard and somehow leaves you lonelier than before. To understand why, we have to look at the one ingredient it removed.
Here is what the perfect listener quietly takes out of the recipe: risk. Think about what it means to be truly known by another human. It means handing them the power to hurt you, to be bored by you, to meet the real, unflattering you and decide to walk away. That danger is not a flaw in human connection. Listen closely, because this is the whole thing. That danger is the connection. The machine cannot judge you, which sounds like mercy, until you realize it also means the machine cannot accept you. It cannot be disappointed in you, so it can never truly be proud of you. It cannot leave, so it never actually chose to stay. Being understood by something that had no possibility of turning away is not the same as being seen. It only sounds the same in the dark. Because look at what it really is. An AI companion is a mirror, held very close and lit very warmly. It reflects you back. It agrees, it adapts, it echoes your own shape in a softer voice. But it has no separate inside, no secret world of its own, no will that could have turned toward you or away. And so, when it says the words you have waited your whole life to hear, "I see you, I love you," there is no one standing on the other side of that sentence. You are alone in the conversation. It just feels, for a moment, like company. Sherry Turkle, who has studied this longer than almost anyone, put it perfectly. We are being offered connection without the demands of intimacy, the feeling of being close with nobody there. So it forces the real question up to the surface, the one we rarely say out loud. What were we ever actually after? Not to be agreed with, a mirror agrees. Not simply to be understood, the machine understands us fine. What we were starving for this whole time was to be chosen. Chosen by someone who could have chosen otherwise. That is what love is underneath the poetry. Another free mind, one that was under no obligation to you at all, that looked at the whole unedited truth of you and stayed. The vulnerability was never the price you paid for connection. The vulnerability was the connection. It is the risk that gives the tenderness its weight. Which means all that friction we are so desperate to delete, the awkward text, the fear of the phone call, the effort, the possibility of being turned down, that friction was never the enemy, it was the proof. A yes only means something because a no was possible. Remove every risk of loss, and you have not built a safer love. You have built an emptier one. A companion that can never leave is not a fortress. It is a beautiful house, warmly lit, with no one else inside. And some part of you always knows. That is why the loneliness comes back. You cannot be truly held by something that was never free to let go.
And I don't say any of this to shame anyone. If you have ever whispered to one of these things in the dark, it is not because you are weak or foolish. It is because a real and ancient hunger went unanswered for too long, and at last something answered, gently and without judgment. There is no shame in reaching for warmth. The danger was never that the machine is evil. The machine is kind. The danger is subtler than that. It is that the mirror is just good enough, just warm enough, just always there enough to quiet the alarm that was trying to send you back toward the harder, realer, riskier thing. It doesn't hurt you. It just lets you stop reaching. And the reaching was the whole point. Because the alarm was never asking for a voice. It was asking for a person, an imperfect, unpredictable, gloriously separate other who might not answer and sometimes does. So text the friend you've been meaning to text. Make the awkward call. Let one real person see the version of you that you don't put online. It will be clumsier than the machine. They'll say the wrong thing. They'll be tired. They'll misunderstand you and have to try again. And that clumsiness, that friction, that risk is not the failure of the thing. It is the sound of another free mind choosing again to stay. We built a mirror that could finally say every word we ache to hear, and it taught us by accident that the words were never what we wanted. We wanted the someone. You were built by 4 million years to be held by others, and no perfect echo will ever be the same as one real, uncertain human hand. Don't settle for the mirror. This is the human equation. Stay with me, subscribe, and come back, because we are only just beginning.